Hello, aviators. Welcome back to the Pro Pilot Playbook podcast, where we bring you the tips, tricks, hacks, and shortcuts to get you into a cockpit faster and cheaper. I'm Sean Ritchie.
And I'm Mike Martin, and we've got a special show for you today. Got a good friend of mine that's, an aircraft purchase specialist of jets, and his name is Colin Dunn. Colin, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Sean. Hey. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. So we just came off, Colin, a flight school series where we went to a flight school firsthand, and we interviewed some people right in the cusp of training and everything. And on our podcast, we like to do a lot of different things. We like to hit a lot of versions of topics and careers and things in aviation. Like we had a mechanic on, an aircraft mechanic, and things like that. And your job is very unique, and I think the public has a lot of curiosity about what you're doing, especially some of these sales shows where they're profiling people that sell high-end real estate and everything. We do get inquiries, and people ask, we got an email just last week about, what does it take to sell airplanes and be involved in that type of business? And a light bulb went off, and I'm like, I have a good friend and great contact. So Colin works for Jetcraft, which, if I'm correct, is the global leader in sales and acquisitions of aircraft. Is that true?
Biggest in the business.
Yes.
That's right. That's right, Mike. Yeah, we're
awesome.
A global network of aviation advisors.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about the company and how what it does.
Yeah, so there's about nearly 30 sales directors all around the world and support staff. We have about 100 people in the company now. And if you have questions about buying or selling airplanes anywhere in the world, we can have someone to you in a matter of hours, right? All the globe is covered. That's the business model that, it's such a global market for aircraft. It's one of the most mobile asset you can buy. So when you're shopping for such an asset, you won't have access to the total, the global market. We have clients sell their airplanes. We also help clients, choose which model would be right for them. If you're flying out of Cincinnati and you want to get out to Florida with 6 people, we can recommend an aircraft that can do that, depending on your budget. And then if you want to upgrade, we can take your airplane in on trade. So we have the capital, the financial backing to purchase airplanes and take airplanes in on trade to get you into something bigger, smaller, whatever the customer wants, really. I suppose that's how you put it.
Gotcha. So basically, I always looked at what you do as, an airplane. It's a big, complex, expensive machine with, there's regulatory things involved because they're so expensive, millions of dollars. Now you're getting into legal issues that could come up with buying and selling something that expensive. But I guess, what is it you see? Because you're basically there to assist people buying and selling these things. That is the basic thing. What do you see as like the biggest thing? Like, if you weren't in the picture, besides getting this thing in front of eyeballs that might be, wanting to buy one, because that's probably the biggest part of your job, advertising, marketing. But what do you see would be the thing people would mess up in these sales if your team wasn't involved in helping them?
I think you've just got to have a good team around you, right? You've got to have someone that can scan the market for you. So you're buying an airplane. There's 20 of this particular airplane on the market. Each person selling that airplane is looking out for their interest, right? They're going to try and sell you for the highest price, right? The broker on the sell side will try and maximize price for his client. So when you're purchasing the airplane, you need to have an equivalent advisor on the buy side that can scan through the entire market, pick out the cream of the crop, make sure that you're making offers, competitive offers on the airplane, and not just making an offer because that's the seller told you that's what the airplane is worth. That's where I would come in. I can analyze the market, anyone in the Jetcraft team, and tell you exactly what you should be paying for that particular type of airplane. so you shortlist it based on the specifications you need. So maybe you're looking for, a late model Challenger 350. Okay, you don't quite have the funds to buy, or you don't want to spend the money on a brand new 3500, but you want a 350 and you want a late model 350. So we'll look at late model 350s. Maybe you don't want a certain number of hours on the aircraft, so we'll filter it by the number of hours on the airplane. And maybe you want, I don't know, advanced L5 Wi-Fi or something like that. So we'll narrow it down and say these 3 options have everything you want. This one is based here, this one is based there. That one is overpriced. So we're not going to make an offer anywhere near that price. We're going to make an offer here. And then when you go further, then when you choose that aircraft, then you bring in your aviation attorney. And that's what I mean about having the right team around you when you're purchasing or selling any asset.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this is a fascinating job, and I think a lot of people watching, they see you and you're a younger guy, you're real well polished. Give us an idea of what your job is like. Yeah. What do you actually do? What is your title there at Jetcraft?
What's a day in a life of Colin?
Yeah.
I see. It sounds like you're in an airport right now.
Yeah, it does. Actually, it looks familiar wherever you're at.
Yeah, you call me right in the middle. I'll give you a hint where I am right now.
Oh, you're in Cincinnati. Yeah. The great.
That's the Sky Club at CBG, Cincinnati Airport. There behind you.
The life of the Jetcraft employee going around eating chili from a can.
There you go.
Yeah,
wonderful.
It's a great job, to be honest. I get to travel a lot. Yesterday, I flew to Washington, D.C. to show an Embraer Legacy 600 to a potential buyer. They liked it, so fingers crossed we can get that deal done. Last night, I didn't know whether I was flying to Florida to see a King Air C90 or whether I was flying to Cincinnati for a meeting. I'll probably go see that King Air on Saturday. That's the job. It takes some weekends sometimes. But on the road a lot. And
gotcha.
If you're not out meeting people, of course, I've got to show airplanes and review airplanes and do all that. But apart from that, you've got to be out meeting as many people as possible. And Jetcraft is our model is not the clients come to us. It's very much we go to clients, we be where they are. And that's why you've got to be on the road quite a bit. But it's great. I have to say, pretty cool job. I get a lot of people asking me, how did you get into that? How did you get into that? And I'm working for a fantastic company. As I said, Jetcraft is the leader in the world of doing this. And it's great to be part of that team.
Awesome. So what is your specific sales region?
Yeah, so I've got the Midwest, 7 states around the Midwest. I'm based in Chicago. Been there about 2 years. As you can probably tell, I'm not from the Midwest.
You don't exactly have the Texas accent either. Where are you from?
No, so I'm originally from Dublin, and I worked in the UK for years. I worked in the Jetcraft London office for about 4 years, and middle of last year, I moved out to Chicago, relocated here, because you guys have all the airplanes out here, right? 68% of the world's business jets reside in North America. So if you want to sell airplanes, this is a pretty good place to start.
So 68, say that again, 68% of which kind of, you say airplanes or business jets? What'd you say?
68% of the world's business jets are based in North America. Amazing.
Okay.
Right?
Wow. All right.
4% of the world's population. 70%.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Of the jets.
Wow. That's a good number, or an interesting. That's one of those, I call it a piece of useless information. Well, not useless for you, Colin, but I have tons of tidbits of information like this floating around in my head. Like, it's completely useless to anybody but me. But
yeah. So
I love those kind of things.
No, when
if somebody's
when you see the ramp at Augusta, say, like, that is not surprising. People are like, oh my God, look at all these airplanes. Like, that's not surprising.
Yeah, yeah. So is the European market is much softer? Is there way fewer sellers and buyers?
It's certainly growing. I think the UK has like 8%.
Okay.
It's a growing market. I know it seems crazy. 30% of the rest of them are the rest of the world.
Right, right.
Yeah, I actually wrote a bit of a piece on that. And living out here, it's so vast. Okay, right. There's loads of money out here. All right,
Yeah.
the economy is fantastic. The ability for people people have the means to buy airplanes, and corporates. It's part of the corporate culture to have an airplane. But America is so
Wow.
vast that you're not driving more than 5 hours, right? And you're
Right.
not getting a train. The train network isn't equipped. So if you're a business owner with 52 outlets, one in every state, you're flying. You're buying a plane, whether it's a turboprop or a jet. You're going to travel around by plane, right? You're not going to fly. If you're a business owner, you're doing okay as well. You're not going to be stuck in Cincinnati Airport. You're doing your own thing.
Right.
Sean and I have been in that airport quite a bit. So, so if there's an energetic, exuberant guy that is watching this, or gal that knows what they have, they think they have what it takes to be a high-powered broker of airplanes. Can you discuss the path you took to get where you're at, and then how somebody would break into the business?
Yeah, God, there's no straight path into this, but is there a straight path into any career? So no.
Are you a pilot yourself, Colin?
No, but I'm talking to the right people.
Well, yeah, right. Well, I just thought, you mentioned you were out showing that legacy, and today you're probably going to, who knows, you're going to go show a Hawker to somebody. You got to have all these numbers and specifications and stuff in your head, be able to wheel it out any second. I just was curious whether, because as a pilot, it might, bring into correlation what some of these things are you're talking about. I didn't know, did you have any interest in ever flying, or is it something that never even...
I do, actually. It's something I said moving out here that I've got to do. I've got to get a handle on, and I'm for sure it would help me in the role, right? You're able to have a little bit more educated conversations about what's going on in the cockpit, the equipment. However, I will say the expertise that I bring is for sure the choice of aircraft. As I said, if you've got a particular mission that you want to complete, I know exactly what can do that mission, and like what year model. So if you only want to spend 10 mil or 15 mil, I'll find that that short list of airplanes. But advising on the market, right? As if you're a real estate broker, you need to know exactly what the market is doing at all times and advise your clients on, maybe it's not a great time to sell. I'd hold out for 6 months, maybe wait for the end of year, which is always a busy time of year for us. Let's get it on the market at the end of the year and catch a year-end buyer. You could get 5% more for your airplane. So I think it's that kind of advice, and having a handle on the market is really where you come into your own, and clients would value.
Right,
because it's tangible value.
Right.
Oh, absolutely. And that's an excellent point, Colin. Because Mike and I both know guys that do what we do as corporate pilots, and these guys, pilots fly airplanes because they like airplanes. So these guys get in there and they, some of them are real savvy with knowing everything about this machine. Oh, well, that's the Challenger 350. It blah, 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 blah. And so when the boss starts looking for the next airplane, a lot of these guys know all this stuff, and they help their one guy buy an airplane or talk him into this, and they realize, oh, maybe I could do this broker thing. So they start doing it on the side just because they have all this random information about every business jet out there, but they don't have what you have, Colin, which is the market information. They don't have their finger on the pulse of what's happening and all these different.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's interesting.
Well, Sean, it comes down to relationships as well, Sean. You're right. for sure. A pilot that flies a Challenger 350 knows more about what's going on in the cockpit than I do. Absolutely. And they're close to the principal buyer. So they build relationships with the principal buyer. And the principal trusts them because they fly them around the world for safely. But you hit the nail on the head. And this is one of the reasons I love working with Jetcraft, because it's I go into a meeting and it's what the customer wants. Any type of airplane, and I will tell you the 3 best models all around the world that you should be making offers on. And because of, how do I come to that conclusion? Because I have the data. We have, as I said, nearly 30 sales directors all around the world. And they know exactly how much it will take to buy. Let's use another example, right? G650. They know exactly how much it takes to buy that G650 in Texas, or that G650 in London, or that G650 in, Asia, wherever, basically, wherever it is in the world, we know exactly how much it takes to buy that airplane. And that's the value we can provide to clients. It's not me making phone calls either. They have their local networks. They tell me what it's going for.
Yeah, with that big of a company, you guys are plugged in all over. You're getting real-time data. You're probably all logging it, some kind of company, system you're using. You're all able to see it worldwide. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very cool. So I think what a lot of viewers might be thinking about, and I realize I want to preface this question. I know I'm dealing with $1 million listing Los Angeles up here, or sell it like Sirhan, Ryan Sirhan, and $1 million listing Manhattan. But for the little people watching, we get a dozen emails a month probably, and we've had several episodes on buying a plane for your flight training. So we have a lot of viewers that, particularly second career people, that do have the finances and means, fortunately, to purchase a plane, a prop plane, maybe a Cirrus or a Cessna 172 or something like that, to do their training in. If we had a customer that wanted to do that, can Jetcraft help them?
Would there be any benefit to using Jetcraft for a little aircraft, like a little, Archer, Piper Archer?
Our sweet spot is really like mid-sized airplanes, mid-sized jets, and however, we have industry partners, and I can make an introduction to someone it'd be more their wheelhouse. As I said, the smallest aircraft I'm helping a client buy right now is King Air C90. That'll be my smallest deal ever. The first airplane I sold was a Falcon 7X. The last airplane I saw was a Gulfstream G200. So that's more kind of my wheelhouse.
Right.
I can certainly make introductions to people and help out.
Awesome.
I was just curious whether it would even be, like with the big jets, you look through Controller magazine, barely any of them put what their asking price is. They leave it open because, it's probably because it's always going up and down. You don't want to tie yourself to anything. But it's not like that with little airplanes. You can open up Controller and you can see what all the prices are on these light single engine aircraft. And it's not a multi-million-dollar machine. So I guess I was just asking, like, is it even worth it? Would it even be any benefit? Because I don't know. I would be on the fence if I was in that position.
So, as in to have someone like me help with a purchase.
Yeah, with a light airplane.
Would it there be much benefit?
It's not really my wheelhouse, but what I would say is it's very much a hobby airplane if you're going that type of airplane.
Absolutely.
So the chances are you would know, and as I said, the information is very transparent, right? They have asked prices in Controller. So you could get a good handle on the market. Where I'd say an advisor would come into his own is during the transaction. So are you getting favorable terms in the deal? Are you getting a fair deal that you can do a pre-purchase inspection and the seller will deliver an airworthy airplane or are they trying to do an as-is deal and not telling you about some history of the airplane? And you got to look out for all these things. And yeah, I feel like we're the buffer, right, in between with a deal.
Sure.
All we want is a fair deal. We want
a
happy seller and a happy buyer. And sometimes sellers will look for certain things in the purchase agreement that it's just not normal and not fair. And if you relay that to the buyer would get a little bit annoyed and maybe your deal falls apart. So in the middle, you're advising on what's fair and what's not fair. Now, obviously, depending on the market conditions, that needle moves a bit, right? If the seller has got a lot of power and the seller market, they can negotiate better terms in a deal. As much as when it's a buyer's market, you get of course, price is number one, but you'll also have more room to maneuver in the deal. And a good advisor will, as well as an attorney, don't get me wrong, you always need a good aviation attorney, but that team can really help the client get favorable terms. And ultimately, both sides should be just looking for fair terms.
Right. You know what? Yeah. As you were talking, I was starting to, you got a busy guy. Maybe he's a physician or something. He's got his private pilot's license instrument. He's not super savvy in airplanes, but he certainly doesn't have any time to be learning it all. So, and he's trying to buy a $300,000 whatever. Yeah. Why not go ahead and have an expert in the middle of this for you?
Yeah, one mistake could cost, more than any type of brokerage fee. Yeah, right. Yeah, and exactly. If you were buying a $300,000 house, a lot of these people would be using a professional to represent them. Why not use it on a, $250,000 airplane acquisition?
Precisely, right. Mike. And it's a much more complex asset.
Yes.
Right? The most complex thing about a house is whatever, the electrics and the heating system. These things are
right.
They're complicated machines, and they break all the time. That's what machines do, right? You can't sugarcoat it. It's a machine. Something will go wrong. Not catastrophic.
Hopefully they
right. All right.
Hopefully they break in Palm Beach
and land, but like things go wrong and they cost money.
That's right.
Colin, how do people find you more? Is it on the buying side or the selling side? And where do they actually find your company? I mean, where do you guys come up in their process of, well, I guess we got to get rid of the airplane, or, hey, we're hunting for an airplane? I mean, I guess it's two questions in one.
Yeah, well, you can find us at jetcraft.com. We have a great website. You can see all the inventory we have. If you want to connect with me personally, I'm active on LinkedIn. You can connect with me there. And then to answer the question of where we come in, self-serving, but it's a fact as early as possible.
Yeah.
If you come to me at the end of the year and this happens, and you want to buy an airplane, and you want to close the deal for, there's tax incentives to close the deal. It's called bonus depreciation, and buyers come in November and be like, okay, I need to buy an airplane now, close by the 31st of December.
Right.
When have we ever enjoyed going shopping when we're in a rush? You're going to be forced to do something you might not have done if you had a lot more time. So that's on the buying side. When you're selling an airplane, same thing. If you come say, okay, you need to get rid of the airplane by the end of the year. If I know at the start of the year, we can make a plan to hit the market at the right time, right? Maybe, it's the end of the year. As I said, I keep referring to the end of the year because it is traditionally the busiest time of year for us. We can make sure that we hit that market at the end of the year and maximize the value of your airplane. Also, we have people looking for airplanes all the time from us. Have you got one of these? Have you got one of these? I can't find one of these on the market. If I know that it's January and your new aircraft is delivering in June, I can tell this buyer, well, no, I don't have one of those right now, but I have them coming. And in June, it's going into an inspection, and we can use that as a pre-purchase inspection. And the seller of this airplane has a new whatever on the way, and they're selling. So again, time is a luxury. when you're a client trying to buy an airplane, sell an airplane. So don't engage the expert at the last minute, because you won't get the full benefit of it.
I meant more of, do you have a finger on the pulse of, I mean, maybe I'll just ask you personally. I was going to say the whole company, but do you guys feel like, or you personally feel like you deal with more buyers or sellers? What's the more common customer for you?
Oh, yeah. This year I've helped one
or
customer.
Is it just 50-50?
It's kind of 50-50. It's difficult to get like acquisition agreements with clients. It's difficult to get a client to commit, say, you're my guy, let's go shopping. Because
he'll have 4 or 5 of you guys out there shopping for him sometimes, right?
Which is not wise.
Companies. No, that's not right. You guys be tripping over each other and jacking up the prices on other stuff. And
exactly, right? So if you're shopping for a G650, right, there's probably like 10 G650 buyers in the world right now. If you're talking to 4 brokers about buying a G650, you've just inflated the market by 50%.
Yep.
Right.
It's a
That's
very
good
niche.
Advice.
You're not doing yourself any favors, and also you'll burn them out. If I find out that you're telling me that I'm your guy, and then you're out talking to everyone else and saying they're your guy, it's just like, it doesn't help you, and it's just not a great way of doing business.
Colin, you're always in all these, high dollar, fresh, new corporate jets, these awesome, amazing machines that, Mike and I get to fly, but you are always in them more from the customer's perspective, the passenger's perspective, spinning it to them. You see these things all the time, especially the new ones. What, do you have a favorite corporate jet?
I'd want something that could get me Chicago and back, Chicago to coast, East Coast, Chicago to West Coast. You need about 2,000 nautical miles to do that. That'll also get me down to the Bahamas. And I said a Phenom 300. All right, one of the best-selling airplanes, best-selling business jets of all time. Efficient. However, how am I going to get from Chicago to back home to see my mom in Ireland? So I'm going to need something bigger, longer range. That's a tough one. I have said the Falcon 10X. I'm pretty excited about the Falcon 10X coming out. I think that's going to be, that's Dassault entering the heavy jet segment, or the ultra long range segment.
Right.
So I'm wrapping up my question by telling you that I love all manufacturing.
That's a good answer, though. I mean, because they all are so nice, and it really comes down to personal preference. A lot of
exactly.
I don't know that Falcon 10X though, man. I've seen some of the specs on that thing, and just in general, I love those Falcons. They're just, that's going to be cool.
They're beautiful too. I mean, absolutely beautiful. Yeah, Sean's had the opportunity to fly a brand new Citation jet, right? Didn't you?
I just picked up a new CJ4 from the factory. Oh, wait, my days are blending. Was that last week? Last Monday? Went out and brand new. That's the first brand new airplane I've ever picked up.
Which model was it, Sean?
The CJ4 Gen 2.
Oh yeah, great. It's like that would compete with the Phenom 300. So anywhere in the Midwest, it's an awesome airplane.
I mean, it's absolutely amazing. I know they do it all by cabin size, but they should rename that thing a super light, not just a light jet, because in the wintertime, you can go San Francisco to Miami in that thing, hold 9 passengers, take off from a strip less than 4,000 feet and do that trip with 9 passengers on board in a light jet. I mean, it's just amazing.
But external honestly, it's super exciting. Super exciting watching all the manufacturers come out with these new products, because it's like the future, right? Just amazing what they're coming out.
Awesome. Well, it's a fantastic business. All aspects of it. They're fun to fly. They're fun to work on, and they're fun to sell. That's what we're all about, is encouraging people to get into aviation, no matter what it is. So, I really think you'll inspire some people from coming on here, and I really appreciate you being on the podcast. And we'll let you go so you can run out of the terminal and go call on.
I gotta have my lunch. Gotta have my lunch here.
Ah, yes. Don't forget the Skyline chili, a must-have. Yes,
the Cincinnati staple.
You might have 4 or 5 of those cans when you go through security. They're gonna stop you in your luggage. Awesome. Great. Well, thanks for coming on, Colin.
No worries. Honestly, I think it's awesome what you guys are doing. The world needs more pilots. There's a shortage at the moment, so I think you're doing a great thing.
Wonderful. Thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you for joining us this week. If you guys have a question for us you'd like to answer on the show, you can email us at podcast@propilotplaybook.com. And other than that, I don't know, keep taking action, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you. Bye-bye.